Yeah, figure stick with hockey.
Yep, that's what I figured. Get definitely two different points of views because you are not a Bruins fan. I am, and you follow hockey. You're what? Toronto Maple Leaf?
No, no.
No,
I'm a Vegas
you're
Knights.
Vegas. You're a Vegas Knights fan. Mm. When did you jump over there? When they became a
Their
good
first
team?
season.
Their first season.
Yeah, because Oakland was moving there for football, and pretty much I was a Devils fan. But Marty Brodeur was my favorite player. He retired. Scott Stevens and all of them, they retired a long time ago. So figured just keep it in one city.
Eh, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's a little bit better than what I do. Well, I do try to keep it all in one city, just not football. But it works. But yeah, the Bruins, they're doing good this year. They're kicking ass. I actually don't think they're gonna make the. They're not gonna beat the point. I don't think. I think they'll tie it, but I don't think they'll beat the points. Because as it
Uh,
stands right now, they would need to win out the rest of their games to get the points.
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they hit the point
Yeah,
lead or not.
by that, like I was just thinking too. Like that's how it is. Like for them, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And when it all comes down to it, the Stanley Cup is more important than any accolades they can get during the regular season. Because if you don't get the Stanley Cup that year, it's a wash anyway.
Exactly, and they've actually hit two milestones. They're the fastest team in history to hit the 100 point mark.
Yep.
They got 50 wins and 10 actual losses. That is unheard of. That is absolutely
Yeah,
ridiculous.
they were the fastest 50 actual wins, which is that's insane. And granted, they lost to Detroit today, but they also played a Detroit to Boston to the Detroit 1-1. One day they played yesterday in Boston, and Detroit lost in Boston. They went and flew 24 hours. They were playing in Detroit.
And they had a 10 game win streak going on. I believe they lost it to the
Uh,
Oilers.
yeah, they lost to the Edmonton Oilers, but the Edmonton Oilers are so stacked. They set themselves up for the playoff run. They've got Connor. They've got. I do believe
Connor
Connor McDavid
McDavid. Yep.
is on the Edmonton Oilers now.
And he's got the fourth most points in history. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Points per game, the highest points per game percentage, number four in history, and he's up there with Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky, and Billy Bossy. So just
They
he's
were
nasty.
just. He is
He's just
nasty, and he's going to
unbelievable.
be really good. But he was actually held scoreless against
Well, he got
the
injured.
Bruins. In that game, it was not their top two dogs that actually beat the Bruins. It was their third and fourth lines, which I commended to them. Like they did a really good job on beating the Bruins. But like I said, like a lot of those like accolades don't make a difference if you don't have the Stanley Cup at the end of the season. You figure your season's a loss.
Well, we've mentioned it a couple times, and I still go back and forth with it. If your top player goes down, uh, what happens to your season? So, like, I know Marchand isn't the best player on the Bruins, but he went down with an injury not too long ago. How much is that going to hurt them in the
Yeah,
coming?
but I think that's why they're just gonna start resting their players because they're already locked in. They're one of the fastest teams to lock into a playoff spot in the modern era.
Well, they
They
made it
get
to the playoffs, but they can't let their foot off the gas
oh,
because
they
they
definitely can't let off the gas, but they can definitely uh, time manage their players on the ice. They have enough depth where they don't have to play their top line as long as they would have to play like if they were fighting to still get into the playoffs, if they were still fighting for that stuff, I think they're most likely, unless they haven't utterly like they just start to completely fall apart at the end of the season, which I highly doubt that that's going to happen. Not with Bergeron, Marchand, David Pastrnak, Linus Olmark. They all want Brandon Carlo. They all want that trophy.
Yeah,
The,
and there's really not that many teams that can stand up to them
not toe
consistently.
to toe, not like in a long series. I think the Bruins have a lot of teams beat in a long series.
I mean, your top teams are you got the Devils that are up there in the 90s for point range. You got surprisingly the Maple Leafs, and for those who haven't heard, the Maple Leafs are known for choking it in the playoffs, so they don't go far past the first round. They're kind of like Dallas when it comes to that. Uh, but the Maple Leafs are in it. I know the Golden Knights, the Vegas Knights are in it.
The Islanders are if the season ended right now, the Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins would have the wild card for the Eastern Conference, with Boston, Toronto, Tampa Bay being 1, 2, 3 in the Atlantic, and then you have Carolina, New Jersey, and the Rangers at 1, 2, 3 in the Metropolitan, and out in your Western Conference. Dallas Stars are 1, Minnesota Wild 2, and the Colorado Avalanches in the Central are 3. In the Pacific, you have Vegas Golden Knights, the Los Angeles Kings, and the Seattle Kraken are 1, 2, 3, with Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets as your wild cards right now.
No, it doesn't upset me, but it surprises me that there's only one Canadian team that's actually in the full running right now. You said that the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets, but they're wild card. Only
They're both
Toronto
wild
Maple
card.
Leafs
Only
are in
one of
there.
them get into the. Well, you have Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, so that's your one. That's your one Canadian team.
That's guaranteed to be in there right now. Yeah,
Virtually, yeah.
because well, Nashville's out by 7. They're 7, 4 games behind.
The
Six
Leafs,
points. Nashville Predators are 6 points behind the Jets, and so are the Calgary Flames.
Flames.
So you have a potential of having 3 teams.
What would you say is the biggest shocker this year for you so far?
So far, I
I
wasn't
guess
expecting Allmark to be a fucking brick house like he is.
yeah.
That man has absolutely just been nuts. Like he took the win against Detroit, and then Swayman got the loss today in Detroit. I do believe it was Swayman.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch the
But
speed,
those
the
two, like together, Swayman and him, that I wasn't expect. Like expect a lot out of Swayman. He's been with the organization since
And
back
Larkin
in
still has to
Providence.
corral that puck. It's got to be flat.
But that's just it. Like I wasn't expecting Allmark to be as, like I said, as dominant as that guy was this this year. Like you would have never expected him to be that good. He was never ranked as that type of a goalie. He sat behind Rask. He wasn't supposed to be the starter. It was supposed to be Swayman. Allmark just beat him out.
oh, when you score a goal, that also helps your
Well, that helps your stat lines and everything else, but that wasn't until just recently being the 16th goalie,
13th.
13th goalie in the history of the league to net a goal.
Well, actually, he's only the 12th because Marty Brodeur had two.
Oh yeah, too.
But still, 12 goalies in history to actually score a goal, and it was a pretty goal. Like
Oh,
that was
that was definitely legit a very nice, sweet ass goal because he lifted that puck perfectly over everybody and he didn't get to see it. Poor man. He's like, yeah, I had three defenders in front of me. I don't know. I hit
and
it.
the cool thing about a goalie scoring a goal is that it doesn't matter which team you're on. It's such a rare occurrence that
You go nuts.
even the home fans were going nuts.
Oh, because
Uh,
like I said, it definitely never happens, but it helps that it was an empty netter. But that's how almost all of them happen.
I wasn't at the game, but I know a couple people that were at the Hartford Whalers game when they were playing Detroit when Chris Osgood scored on them, and
Oh, nice.
from what I hear, the entire stadium went crazy.
Oh,
Even though,
I guarantee that like I probably heard something from the girls in high school because they used to love the Whalers. They had songs and everything for them. They absolutely adored like all the Whalers. They were so mad when they went down to Carolina.
yeah, and then Carolina proceeds to win a Stanley Cup within a decade.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
what can you do?
Never win one in Hartford though.
No, regrettably.
Well,
But we do have, as you say, I mean, Boston is 2 hours from us, and they're absolutely destroying it. The Rangers are doing phenomenal.
the Rangers are doing good. The Islanders are
Jersey,
have made a turnaround with their pickups and everything. I do believe they picked up Tavares.
so as good as they are, can they go all the way? Can the Bruins go all the way?
Yes,
Are you confident?
I am definitely confident. It's sad when they don't even need to run with the perfection line.
Oh yeah, they're dominating even with their third line.
And their fourth line. Like Orville was an awesome pickup, and Hathaway is a phenomenal player. And the guy they did pick up from Detroit, he's pretty good too. He's a good solid 3-4 line. Like that's what they needed. They need to be on the top line. And again,
So
our top line isn't even the perfection line because David Krejci rolls with Bergeron and Marchand. It's not even Pasternak, Marchand, and Bergeron barely skate with each other. That's the perfection line because when they're all three together, good luck. Yeah, and I've barely seen that actually out on the ice, unless it's probably power play.
no, you would probably know better than me, being a Bruins fan. Is there a team this year that's a thorn in their side, one that you're worried about if they meet in the playoffs?
No, because the ones that we would have to worry about aren't in the playoffs.
Like Detroit?
Detroit's not in the playoffs. The Ottawa Senators aren't in the aren't in the playoffs. Our thorn in our side, the Montreal Canadiens, they aren't. They're definitely not.
No, no, they're terrible, regrettably.
They are way down the list at 26 wins. They are so far out. Like like the Rangers could be and the Hurricanes can be because the Hurricanes it definitely I always think I see the Hurricanes I think Hartford Whalers. I will forever and for always growing up since I grew up in Connecticut I remember the Hartford Whalers. They went down to Carolina. I am not a Hartford Whalers fan. Never have been. Never will be. I was always a Bruins fan.
Terrible. I think that's why most people over here in this neck of the woods aren't Bruins fans, was for that reason.
Because of the
Because
Whalers, because they
such
were in the same division.
such a rivalry.
Yeah, well, Adam Oates, Cam Neely, Raymond Bork, Enough said.
Mm, regardless, I mean, yeah, the fact that Montreal and Boston have such a long history, well, they're both part of the original six.
Yeah,
If they meet,
well,
they'll
that's
be
what it is. Well, that's what you got with the Rangers being in there, right?
you
They
got
are
the
part of
Maple Leafs.
the Rangers
Maple,
are part of the original six.
yep. So are the Maple Leafs.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about Philly. I don't know. You haven't heard much about Philly recently.
No, the wild card would be the Capitals. They're doing all right after their exodus of a shit ton of players.
Yeah.
Point in case why we have Ortho and Hathaway because we got them both from the Capitals.
You're getting to a point where the names, the go-to Ovechkins and Sidney Crosbys, they're getting up there in age, and you got the rookies that are coming in that are really making names for themselves, and so
It's
old
those
school.
mid tier guys that are like actually starting to like wind up poking their heads out because they're not having those dominant players that were before them being in that showcase, and they're actually starting to be pushed by the younger kids and the younger generation. So they're gonna have their second wind and their second part of their career. But point in case
Austin
why
Matthews.
the Bruins try to lock up all their players.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not many players that are like names that like people give that they really played anywhere else for any real length of time. Other than Chara. And Chara
Yeah.
still played there for years.
Well,
Years.
where did Marchand play? Did he play anywhere else?
No. Marchand is program. He wasn't traded for, neither was Bergeron.
And Bergeron's been around for a while too.
Yep. Neither was Rask, neither was Swayman. And they're the new guys that are coming up. Pasternak's never seen anybody outside. He's never going to see anybody outside of the Boston organization. They want to lock him up forever. They want to do the same thing with McAvoy. Raymond Bork, he played almost his entire career as a Boston Bruin. Same thing with Adam Oates. Same thing with Cam Neely. Most of their players, that Timmy Thomas did most of his greatest work with the Bruins.
Yeah, but they didn't win any cups during their times, or very
Timmy
few.
Thomas won. Yeah, they didn't win many cups, and they win them scatteredly. Like that's the one cool thing about hockey. You really never know what everything's gonna bring each year because they were like Bruins were not predicted to be this good at all.
Oh
They
no,
were they were
was a
picked
shoot.
to be like a middle of a pack kind of team, trying to figure out if they have to do a giant rebuild or if they have to like just need to tweak it out. And then they came out firing on all cylinders, and they just haven't really stopped. I think they have one losing streak so
And
far
even
this
then, it
year,
was short.
and that was 3 games. Was their longest losing streak, and I think it is literally only one losing streak in the entire season so far, and that's 65 games played.
And again, 10 true losses.
Yeah,
You got your overtime losses and your shootout losses, but 10 true losses, that is ridiculous when you only have 82 games in a season.
yeah.
You have 50 wins and 10 true losses. I mean, that's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And I'm not a Boston fan. I don't like Boston. Uh, the Bruins, I should say. But
Yeah,
it's impressive, and to watch them, it's not fun because they're so good that you're like,
they're
oh,
just literally waffle stomping people.
yeah, they're literally just going to skate down the ice and score, and there's no chance for the contender goaltenders.
Well,
They're
they've definitely had their fair share. Like they definitely have had their injuries, and like I said, I think they've pulled up just a little bit because I think they've all realized that it's not about the record for points. It's more about that cup. That's what it is. Because your
true.
name eventually does come off of that cup, but it stays on there for a pretty long damn time.
True, but again, they do have to be careful because uh, they're in the playoffs. That's great, but they haven't clinched the division. They don't have home ice advantage currently. They don't
No, they
have.
don't have home ice advantage. They're only up by 11 points right
Yeah,
now.
now that is a nice
That's a
safety with
cushion.
only
That
15 games left, but
yeah. Carolina can catch them. Carolina can catch them. Technically, the Devils can catch them too because the Devils are only 2 games behind Carolina, and you never count them out.
yeah,
Unrealistic for the Rangers just because they would have to completely win out and we would have to lose out. And everybody else in between them and Boston would have to lose out pretty much too. So I don't see that potentially happening. And there's no other teams that are close.
I'm hesitant to even sit your players, even if you get the division wins.
Oh,
If you're top, keep on going.
that's
Just
what they plan on doing. You just keep playing, but you try to manage time instead
yeah,
of
so your
having
fourth
you take
line
off like 5, 6 minutes of game time on ice, so they have their rest. They're not playing a full game like they usually do. They're not playing the 35 minutes of ice time or 45 minutes of ice time. The only person who's on the ice all the time is a goalie.
and you switch out your goalie, do you put your backup goalie in for a couple of these games to get them experience?
Well, the
Because
Bruins will.
yeah, because the worst thing to happen in the playoffs is your number one goalie goes out with an injury. It doesn't happen often, but
It
sec-
does happen. I've seen crazier and stupid shit happen
like
than
a
that.
Zamboni driver becoming your emergency backup and
Yeah,
beating your own team.
yeah, that's happened. We know it.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah,
Zamboni driver comes in. I think he had like 2 saves,
yeah,
and the he was a Toronto Zamboni driver, and the Toronto lost. And so the joke is that Toronto couldn't even beat their own Zamboni driver, and that's got to be a thrill. They had him sign a contract that day during the game for a 1 day. Uh, and he played in college, but not even a great school. It was just a normal college
yeah.
team.
But since he drove to Zamboni and he had experience, and he probably signed up for that, they're like, "Yep, you're it. You're good. It's not likely gonna happen, buddy, but you're the on-call guy. If everything, all shit hits the fan, and we need a goalie to stand in, can you do that? I got
That
you.
must have been a thrill of the lifetime. You got
Oh God,
three
yeah,
goaltenders ahead of you. The main one was out right before the game. Was a scratch right before the game. The first one, the backup injured himself during warm-ups, and then halfway through the second period or the third period, the third goalie goes out. You literally have no one. Now, I'm surprised that they didn't dress up a player, and they actually did dress up a Zamboni driver, but I don't know if they're
yeah. But players know that being a goalie, just with the movements you have to make, they're not the same. The pads are different, and they're not willing. Most of them are probably not willing to take a puck to the face.
if you're the fourth line.
Okay, I would love to see Zdeno Chara try to get into a set of goalie pads. I would
Well,
love it.
he wouldn't move. He's such a big dude. He would just stand there and hope for the best.
He just squat down and just put his hands up, and then you gotta go for the 5 hole. That's all you got. But again, the padding alone, you would have to special order that padding. It would just be a ridiculous size that he would need for that legging pad and all.
Oh yeah, and I know from experience. I used to play goaltender for high school and in college, and I stopped after college, and it was about 10 to 12 years since I threw back on pads, and I went out for a stick game, just a stick game, like no refs or anything.
No refs, just a stick game. Just go out and have fun. Yeah.
I was winded after the warm up.
Oh, I
Legit
bet.
bench, sweating buckets, could not breathe, just because you're so
You're conditioned.
you're conditioned for that.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anybody says. You throw on 70, 75-pound pads,
Oh
doing
yeah, without a doubt.
time. It's a normal person, even if you're conditioned as a hockey player, you're not conditioned for that.
No, not at all. Like I said, hockey players would probably be the first ones to be like, "Nah, I'm good." There's a reason why they're goalies and I am not a goalie. I almost guarantee you most of them would be like, "Nah, I'm good." He wants to play goalie, let that man play goalie. We'll do our best to keep them from shooting the puck at him, and that's all we can promise you.
Especially in the NHL.
Oh
You
yeah,
got a guy, imagine you had Chara, who's known for his ridiculously fast shots, sitting on the blue line, and you have to stare it in the face and say, "Hey, I can't move. I'm taking this. If it hits me in the helmet, it hits me in the helmet.
yeah,
It's only 90 miles an hour. It's fine."
yeah.
You you get
Those
whacked.
slap shots are nuts.
Yeah, you have to
Catching
have a
them,
little bit of craziness
you
to be a goaltender.
catching them in that glove. You have to feel that puck entering that glove. I don't care that it's got like probably a shit ton of padding and your hands are probably nowhere near where that puck actually enters into the netting and everything else like that. But I guarantee you that that has hurt. I played catcher. I know what it's like to catch a 70-mile-an-hour fastball down the pipe. It's not fun. Like it takes a special breed to stand there and get hockey pucks, balls hurled in your direction, knowing how fast he's gonna throw that, and that you have to literally catch that every single time he throws.
I mean, they're not only just crazy during the ice and not fully crazy like, they're standing in front of a puck. But again, knowing from experience some of the habits that goalies do, if you notice when you watch a game, after they let in a goal or after they make a save, they'll skate all the way to the boards across the ice, tap the board with their stick, and come back.
Yep.
Or after every goal, they'll drink water, and you see them swig 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's consistent all the time. They have these habits, and if you break those habits, you're going to lose the game.
oh yeah, they definitely have their superstitions. But that's almost every athlete, and not every athlete will admit that they have any superstitions, even if they do have them or whatnot. Some of them will admit to what they do. But you have routines. You have certain setups that you do. You have certain ways that you go about your game day differently than, like, say, a practice day or an off day. And you just wind up getting into those routines. And if you played any kind of organized
Very
sport,
similar with it.
yeah, that's the one thing I still haven't crossed off my bucket list is watching a playoff game live of any
Well,
sport.
this is the year to do it, especially if Boston is as good as they've been showing.
Yeah, it definitely is. It would definitely be cool to like see. Like I said, it'd just be kind of cool just to see the atmosphere. It's the only time I've never been inside of a sports stadium, and I've seen all different games.
Oh yeah. Well, it's going to be exciting. The playoffs are coming up. I know that we're going to be covering the playoffs once the season finishes up. We got March Madness coming our way.
Oh, yeah, you got
You're
March Madness coming up. Spring training is almost done. You got regular season starting real soon, and you have the World Baseball is going on right now.
Yeah. So, all this to say, we have a lot to talk about coming up.
Oh, yeah, well,
Hope
there's still
get
basketball to talk about. Like, I want to talk a little bit about how basketball season's been going on. Again, baseball season's coming up. The new year for football
have
starts
to keep up with
tomorrow.
that. But I think
Yeah,
the next topic of choice is going to be basketball and March Madness.
yep, we can definitely do that. We'll mix in a little bit of March Madness with NBA.
Sounds good. Well,
Alrighty, buddy. But yeah,
everybody have a good one. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back. I'm
definitely.
Steve.
I'm Dave. Catch you guys later. Peace.